It's Tuesday, February the 2nd. It's Groundhog's Day. That's right. It's Groundhog's Day again, Mike. Over and over and over again. Actually, Groundhog's Day is actually pretty appropriate if you think about it, because yesterday at the end of the show, I've started the campaign, and I tweeted it yesterday from the @FPC Radio Live account, the Mr. Super Bowl nickname for Tom Brady. And if there's anything that happens over and over and over and over again, it's Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So what do you know? Groundhog's Day over and over again. And of course, it's Groundhog's Day here every day on FPC Radio, because Mike and I, we talk about the same nonsense over and over again. So without further ado, I got to bring in the man himself, Punxsutawney Mike. I don't know what the hell where I'm going with this one. So I'm just going to say, hey, what's up, buddy?
La la la. Well, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Again. I am a god. I am not the god. But no, all kidding aside, folks. Yep, it looks like 6 more weeks of winter, according to the prognosticator of prognosticators himself, Punxsutawney Phil. But you know what? What are you going to do, bud? There's not much you can do. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the groundhog's ability to tell winter. So yeah. Maybe he's wrong this time, and we'll have an early winter, an early spring, an early end to winter, and then we can get on with things, because winter just isn't the same unless you got football to look forward to on a Sunday.
That's true. And look, I can sit here and pretend like I'm assuming you got a whole bunch of snow last night or yesterday.
Not quite as bad as a lot of people expected up here. We were very lucky, but a lot of people in the Northeast did get hit pretty hard. So
yeah, well, we didn't. It's cold down here. It's cold and windy. And to make you feel, like I'm not complaining too much, I do live close to the water, so our chill factor is a little bit worse than most of Florida. So you got to cut me a little bit of slack. But I fully admit I've adjusted. You know what I mean? It will have been 6 years this August since I moved down to Florida. I have not been back up to Massachusetts or New England since. I don't know if I could survive the cold anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but I've I've lost that ability to walk outside in 10-degree weather in shorts and a t-shirt and not worry about it. I think if I did that now, I would just keel over and die.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, you develop a thin skin pretty quickly down in that area. So yeah, you're pretty much any New England blood that you had left in you is probably gone. Although it does come back. Though. So you would adapt quickly. You'd come back. You'd step off the plane and you'd be freezing. But another couple of days, you'd be back to it. It's the real native Southern, Floridians, the true native Floridians that have lived there all their life that come up here, and they can never ever adapt to it. It's unbelievable. It's funny, but
I'll say there's aspects of the snow that I miss. I miss the act of snowing. I miss waking up and seeing snow covering. I miss quote unquote snow days. Although even now it doesn't seem like they're the same, even for folks that have quote unquote snow days, because everyone's working from home and all that nonsense. But I don't want to live through 4 months of it. I'm good for like a week. You know what I mean? That's good. I'll come up and visit. Well, maybe. We'll see. I can go up. I can live for a week.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing in a nutshell about snow, and especially up here. It's the first snowfall of the year is usually nice. It's usually a light snowfall. I mean, generally. Usually we don't get hit with a tremendous storm right off the bat. But the first one is usually nice. It gives you that little, like, oh, well, that's nice. The trees are covered. It looks good. It looks like a little winter wonderland out there. Everybody prays for a little bit of snow on Christmas. I think everyone does. But other than that, we've had it. We're done, and we can just put it away for a while.
You're just waiting for that first day of spring, flowers blooming,
yeah, all that crap.
Yeah. Exactly. I got my Vandalay Industries t-shirt on today right now. I don't know.
Very, very nice. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. The question is, though, when you wear the Vandalay Industries t-shirt in the park or some public place, when you get up, do the birds scatter the way they do in the Seinfeld episode? They should. They really, really should. Yeah,
they should. I'm not gonna lie though. I've been kind of a shut-in for the last 12 months. So what goes on outside in public places, I've kind of forgotten. But No,
Haven't
look,
we all?
when it comes to living in the snow, like here's the thing. This is how crazy I am. I could go if I and I've mentioned this before, and maybe this is why I'm so obsessed with like those reality Alaskan survival shows or whatever. I could go for like 6 months and go live in the wilderness like that. I mean, I've said it before. I would have to have a couple amenities. No, first of all, I'd have to have an internet and a computer because, well, hey, I got to do my job. But like, if I had a couple, just luxuries, the ability to watch whatever I wanted to. For instance, I could go live in a cabin in the middle of the woods in the dead of winter up in Alaska and be okay with that because the appeal of doing something like that, it's cool to me. I think that's an adventure that is up my alley. But it would never be permanent. And I would imagine the only way I could get through it is having the mindset of it being a temporary sort of vacation type of thing. But I think I could do it. The whole hunting animals and all that stuff, I can't do that. I would have to bring snacks. Like I said, there's going to be some things that I'm going to have to bring with me. This wouldn't be a true, what do they call it? When you live off the land. I'm blanking on the word right now, Mike. You have to help me out, Mister. Come on, help me out. Do you know it? You live off the land. Right. Self-sufficient. You're
like a self-sufficient, like a pioneer.
No, not a pioneer. There's a word for it, like a I don't know. It'll come to me. Maybe someone who's listening right now can chime in and let us know. But it's basically it's a word.
Yeah, they're good. The coffee's still kicking in on this end. I can't. I know the word you're thinking of.
I hear it.
What I'm actually picturing though, as you're describing this, is I'm picturing Lonnie from season 2 of 24. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Me too.
He's got the bunker down below,
but with snow.
I could deal with a lot of things without a lot of things, but I gotta have my Java. He's got the coffee down below. He's got the little TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mean Johnny Drama before he became Johnny Drama. No, that's actually fairly accurate. Just add snow and make it more, secluded. Like I'm saying, I mean, some of these shows, there's a guy who lives right on the lake in this a cabin no bigger than the room I'm in right now, and that's what he does. I would have to have, like I said, if I could just take my room that I'm in right now, with my office, all that stuff, transplant it into a cabin in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, I can deal with that. I kind of like the idea of having that 6 month long, but again, then I could step off the plane and feel my nose hairs freeze instantly, and then probably decide to turn right back around and be like, you know what? I don't mind giving up on this one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much. So.
That's one thing I don't miss, and for anyone, obviously this is not specific to the University of Massachusetts, but anyone who perhaps is listening to the show that spent any sort of time at UMass Amherst and who has ever been in the Southwest dormitory area, and I say Southwest because that's specifically where I'm talking about. It's like this all across campus, but if you ever get caught in one of those horrid wind tunnels, freezing wind tunnels that are created by just the topography of where the campus is and the tall buildings that just channel cold air and windy air through everything, it's that's something I don't miss. Walking around, when you walk around the edge of a building and the jeans, not windbreaker, jeans that you're wearing are being pushed so tightly back because of the wind that they're creating flaps and they're skin tight. Yeah, that's cold, and I don't miss that at all. So.
Oh, you definitely don't miss that. The minute you said wind tunnel, I'm immediately brought back to my freshman, sophomore year, walking from Fennell Hall and lower campus at PC through Harkins Hall and McDermott Hall, which are adjacent to each other, walking
McDermott
directly
Hall?
Through that. Yeah, Sean McDermott Hall. Absolutely. Yep, that's right. Yeah, Stephon Diggs was already around there.
Yeah.
He was already, they were already playing in the Buffalo Bills offense right there. But defense, got all that stuff. But walking through those two buildings, the two tallest buildings on campus, absolutely just the wind would cut right through. Oh my
terrible.
God. That's, that wind, you felt it deep within your bones. It was really, really bad.
Oh yeah. I mean, if like I said, I lived in one. There's 5 22-story dormitories in Southwest. So, speaking about tall buildings, there you go. And so I'm glad you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And again, anyone who's ever been in those specific 2 locations during winter know exactly what we're talking about. But let's get going, because we have John joining us here actually in not too long from now, probably about 5-10 minutes from now. So we're obviously going to talk to him more about what we talked about yesterday, and that was the Matt Stafford trade. Obviously, we have more storylines when it comes to the Super Bowl and the first issues of COVID kind of seeping into the Kansas City locker room. Now, the first look at this, well, it seems they seem to have avoided what could have been a big disaster, but it kind of plays into what we were talking about this past week or yesterday, and that's, well, where do you draw the line when it comes to playing this game? And I think Mike and I both agreed that it's only at the quarterbacks. Because after that, I mean, you can't. It gets so murky, and we'll ask John about this too. But it gets a little murky if you start considering canceling games for other players. And it's not that they aren't valuable. It's just, again, I think you can draw a line at the quarterbacks, and kind of deal with whatever comes after that. But before we get into that, because again, I think we're going to spend the majority of that time with talking with John about that. A little news out of Red Sox world: Dustin Pedroia finally called it a career. Who, again, the jokes are low-hanging fruit if you want to make them. I'm not going to when it comes to Dustin Pedroia retiring. Actually, I will say one, because it's not I just look. I can't help myself when I laugh, when I naturally read something and laugh. But someone had tweeted that Dustin Pedroia came out of retirement to retire, and look, it's funny because it's witty, but at the end of the day, everything that he did for the Red Sox. I mean, he was a phenomenal player. He was a phenomenal locker room guy, and it's kind of sad to officially see that book closed on his career, even though, again, I think we all have known it's been over for quite some time. I think he's played something like 9 games in the last 3 or 4 seasons. So hats off to Dustin Pedroia, certainly a Red Sox legend. I would have to kind of dive more into his career to see where I feel about the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying one way or the other. I just don't, I'm not going to just make a blind judgment and then go back and say, oh, okay, maybe it's a little bit more debatable. But, that's something for another day. But, yeah, hey, hats off to Dustin Pedroia. Hell of a career, and it's unfortunate that it ended the way it did. And I know he was taking the high road when it came to Manny Machado. But I'm personally not over it, so I can't imagine too many Red Sox fans are over him essentially ending Pedroia's career with some of the antics that he did. So, hey, hats off to Dustin Pedroia for a great career.
Yeah, amazing career. I mean, 4-time All-Star, American League Rookie of the Year in 2007, AL MVP in 2008. Yep. So, I mean, you look at an entire 17-year career played in one city. You hardly ever see that anymore in professional sports, especially in baseball. Things can have a tendency to go so many different ways. Won 3 World Series, 4-time Gold Glove winner. This is not as open and shut as you may think it may be. And a lot of people may roll their eyes and go, Hall of Fame, are you kidding me? You look at the stats, all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, maybe he's in consideration. I don't know. My gut reaction tells me no, but I mean, I guess that's a conversation, like you said, for another day. But today we celebrate Dustin, amazing career, and hats off to him for trying to do everything he could to get back on the field. One thing that struck me from his personal statements yesterday was that, yeah, maybe this did linger on a little bit, but I think he was really doing everything he could to try to get back on the field, and ultimately his body gave out, and it really kind of made the decision for him. But you can't take away what he did on the field, and he was one of the first guys there to dress for games and get ready. He's one of the last guys to leave. Great locker room presence, and the game's going to miss him, no question about it.
No, absolutely, and unfortunately, from one Dustin to another, you jumping into the entertainment world, we saw, unfortunately, the sad news of Dustin Diamond's passing. And for those who don't know, he played obviously Screech and Saved by the Bell. And for those of us our age and older and stuff, we obviously are more familiar with the show and everything like that, and grew up watching it and all that stuff. So that was sad. Only 44 years old, and cancer gets another one, and that's just unfortunate. So.
Yeah, terrible, terrible news. I know Dustin had a lot of personal problems in his personal life, and things have been magnified. Some of the difficulties that he's had with some of his castmates. Reportedly, he was able to mend fences with a lot of them, and I think that's something that is probably a blessing to all those people right now, and probably even to Dustin himself, as he knew his last days were arriving. He made you root for the underdog in that show. Everybody, whether you like it or not, whether people want to admit it or not, I think everybody in our age bracket, buddy, grew up watching that show.
Oh, yeah.
And you watched it for one reason or another. Either you wanted to be Zach Morris, or you wanted to date Kelly Kapowski in the worst way, or but there was that element of rooting for Screech and rooting for the underdog, and kind of like allowing you to like the lovable geek that he did so well. And he had great comedic timing. It's sad at 44 to think that he's gone, from this world for terrible disease. Obviously stage 4 lung cancer that just was absolutely one of the more aggressive strains that you'll find. But his body of work will be remembered, and hopefully people will remember the good, more than some of the difficulties that he's had. But gone way too soon. Cancer claims another one, and just terrible disease. Maybe someday we'll find a way to eradicate this.
And again, I mean, it's sad because again, we can relate, and that's where I think a lot of people, latch on to, celebrities and stuff like that. And I personally feel, people are a little too, enamored with them. I think we've seen a lot of their flaws come out, certainly in this latest election cycle. We've seen plenty of celebrities get brought down from the pedestal that they've been on, but I think people react to these things because they can relate to it happening in their own life, and whether it's with someone currently or in the past, you kind of you can share that commonality with strangers because it's a celebrity and everyone knows a celebrity. But in reality, what you're doing is as a group mourning the people that you lost, because everyone's been affected by it, everyone's been impacted by it, and it's always unfortunate when you see someone of a relatively young age have go through that. So not to keep everything so somber, we're actually going to shift back into actual football. And the reason I wanted to wait was because we wanted to actually, we wanted to get an objective party on the line. And by that, I mean Mr. John Sapichetti. John, good morning. And do you still have your Aaron Rodgers jersey on?
No, I don't wear jerseys. I really don't. I wear colors. Right now I'm in my purple hooded sweatshirt because now I'm all in on the Lakers winning the championship. I put away my forest green hooded sweatshirt.
So you sort of dress based on mood, correct?
Probably. That's a good point. And the mood today is it's very rainy and raw and cold up here in Boston. But luckily, at least on the coast,
hey,
I live in Winthrop, we've avoided snow.
You could say that kind of describes Danny Amendola's statement about Bill Belichick and the Patriot way, huh? Huh? Kind of, all right, right.
No, man, he dropped the mic. He dropped the mic on first things first. I like the way that he worked that into the first part of the conversation when he goes, first things first, because I think Danny's all about branding.
Yeah.
So he knew what show he was on. And, of course, Brandon Marshall kind of almost trampled on all that nice audio that he was giving everybody by going, ooh, ah, ooh. He sounded a little like Tony Romo.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, mic dropped by Danny Amendola, and I partially agree with him. Again, I think the conversation with Brady and Belichick is an and conversation, not an or conversation. It's not 95-5 either way. Obviously, this year it's been Brady. He's playing in the Super Bowl, and Belichick went 7-9. So, yeah, the first round of this fight is a clear, 10-8 Brady over Belichick.
Well, look, I'm the same with you. I don't. Like, there's a lot of players, again, you speak about defensively, that helped build this Patriot way. And you know me, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
biggest Brady honk in the world, but I'll never sit there and say that, of course, it was all him. Now, again, I will fight to the death with anyone that suggests that he wasn't the biggest impact. And my philosophy and my belief is that a great quarterback, take names out of it, a great quarterback is always, in my opinion, more valuable than a great coach, because at the end of the day, the play, like kind of like Danny Amendola says, the plays happen on the field and not on the sideline. So I know it's a very simple way of looking at it, and it's not meant to discredit Bill Belichick, because as Tom Brady said in his statement yesterday, which I'm assuming isn't going to get as much play as the vague statements that are made that favor a more contentious relationship. But based on what Brady said yesterday, I mean, it's kind of how you feel. I mean, look, they had a 20-year working relationship. It ended. And they both kind of go their separate ways. I don't think either or is sitting there saying, I want to give it to the other guy. I'm going to screw this guy. I think it's just what it is. Do I think, Bill Belichick sitting at home with a Tom Brady jersey on going, let's go, Tom? Probably not, because I don't think he does that anyways. But I also think that he's not going to be upset if Tom wins. Like, I think he'd be happy if Tom wins. Like, I don't think any sort of working tension is going to outweigh what I believe is a friendship that will last longer than these couple years where Tom's not playing for the Patriots. So,
I totally disagree. I think he's rooting against Brady, and I think Brady really wants to stick it to Belichick. And the reason will say that, if you want to know the truth, don't listen to Tom Brady Jr., listen to Tom Brady Sr.
You mean,
he's been on all the talk shows. On all the talk shows talking about, hey, Belichick might be on the hot seat. I love the craft. So
I'll say this.
Take it from there.
I'll say this. I don't think Brady wants to win it to stick it to Belichick. I think he wants to win it to prove to himself and whatever doubters he believes are out there that he can do it without Bill. I don't think it's directly related to him wanting to humiliate Bill, because I do believe that they have a fairly good relationship. That after 20 years, hey, can you name anyone you've been around for 20 years that you can still stand?
I can't stand people I'm around with for 20 minutes, but
exactly.
But they made it work for most of those 20 years.
John, I've been around Ian for 3, and I already can't stand it.
Yeah.
No, I'm only kidding.
I'm ready to hang up. Hang up, Mike. I'm with you on that one. Mike, what do you think, though? I mean, I think that Brady, obviously, he's motivated enough no matter what. I mean, he wants to win a 7th Super Bowl. Maybe he's in competition with Michael Jordan, right? Because Jordan has 6 and Brady has 6, and he'll one up Michael Jordan, who was, someone that he idolized growing up, among others. So maybe that's what he's chasing. But I still think that this would be the ultimate feather in his cap if he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who've not won a playoff game since 2002, and he takes a 7-9 team, and he's the biggest reason they're playing in the Super Bowl. And if he's able to win, most likely will be one of the 2 biggest reasons that they win that game. I think their defense is going to have to come up big against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's the ultimate feather in his cap. Look, LeBron has won titles with 3 different teams. You can't tell me that Laker one wasn't important, because now you can say, look, I've won with 3 different franchises. This is amazing what Brady's doing, because a lot of great quarterbacks have left their original franchise, gone to another one, and they made that team better quickly. I mean, just look at Joe Montana, right? His first year in Kansas City, got to the AFC Championship game, but lost. Brett Favre got to the NFC Championship game with Minnesota and lost. Manning did have a lot of success, and Denver did win a Super Bowl. He was just along for the ride, though, when they won that Super Bowl, but they did win. So what Brady is doing is really never been done before, in this league, at least in modern times.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, John.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, you make a good point, John, and I'm of the school where I think virtue lies in the middle. I think there is an element of Tom that wins for himself and himself only, and I think he's self-motivated in a lot of different ways. I think he's motivated to accomplish certain goals. I think he set certain goals for himself, and having covered him the last couple of years, I can tell you there is a self-motivation. There's a fire in this guy that you don't see in most athletes. Very, very few have that, and they are driven by that. They're consumed by it in a lot of ways, and Tom Brady is consumed by that desire to achieve his goals. At the same time, there's got to be a little bit of Tom Brady that wants to say, hey, you know what? I wasn't worth going the extra mile for a 2-year contract extension, putting the faith in me. You wanted to go year to year, uncharted territory, all that. I think there is a little bit of Tom Brady that wanted to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to show you what I can do. I'm going to show you I can still do it. And is it sticking it to the person, Bill Belichick? Probably not. I think it's more sticking it to the entity of Bill Belichick, the GM, that essentially maybe showed a lack of faith where Brady thought he should have showed a little bit more. So that I can buy into a little bit. I don't necessarily think it's a personal vendetta against these two. I think that's been overblown a little bit. I don't necessarily think there's the raw hatred between the two persons, between the two people here that I think a lot of people want to put out there. But I do think Brady is motivated to prove that he can do it without Bill. I think Bill is motivated to prove that he can do it without Tom. Look, these guys lived under the same roof for 20 years almost. I liken it to a relationship with, kids and their parents. There comes a time where you have to branch out. You have to do what's best for you. Does it mean that there has to be animosity there? Does it mean that there's any type of hatred or, I can't wait to get as far away from you as possible? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's to that degree. I think that in some ways it's sensationalized. But yeah, there's motivation on both sides. There's no question about it. And I do agree with you. When it comes from Tom Brady Sr., you're probably getting more of the raw emotion of that situation than someone who's very calculated. We all read Tom's statement yesterday on what he said about Bill Belichick, effusive in his praise. And that was a perfect statement to sum up the 20-year relationship these two guys had. Tom is very, very guarded and very conscious of his public persona. He crafted that message well. But yeah, there's some raw emotion behind it that you're not going to see from Junior that you might get from the old man every now and then.
I like that, though. I like peering into the mind of Tom a little bit and whether he wants you to or not, because again, when it comes to his father, all bets are off. He can pretty much say whatever. And look, you got to figure that there's a sprinkle of, Tom Sr.'s emotions in all of this, because that's his kid. I mean, any parent out there knows that they're going to, battle to the end of the earth to defend your child no matter what. And, he takes, I imagine Tom Sr. takes this stuff more personal than Tom Jr. does. Like, I agree with both of you that there is an extent of wanting to prove that they can succeed without one another, but I don't think that's outside of the normal realm of competition. I mean, both of these guys are super competitive. Like, to me, if you were going to say they're both going to go their separate ways and they're both going to want to win, well, I'd be saying, well, duh. I mean, they're both hyper competitive people who, again, who always want to win. And I don't think it's necessarily to spite the other. It's at the end of the day, when Tom finally retires, and that's something we can talk about here in a second, whenever that is, because he's opened the door yet again to, pretty much an open-ended question at this point. Whenever it is he retires, he's going to come back to New England. He and Bill, this isn't, let's put it this way. This isn't the breaking up of Fleetwood Mac, okay? I don't think there's that much animosity between, the two lead stars of this, this band that we call the Patriots Dynasty. I don't think there's that much tension and hate between the two. I just think, like Mike said, it's kind of like a parent and a child. A good 18 years or so, you gotta get up, you gotta move, you gotta flourish on your own. You need that buffer zone, and I think that's kind of what Tom's looking for. But so anyways, Tom said yesterday, he was asked, do you still plan on playing up to 45 or beyond 45? And he said, well, not turning it down. He said, look, if I'm still playing well, I'm still going to keep playing. So, there's a couple years ago, I had said the perfect storybook ending for Tom Brady: win a Super Bowl in Tampa. This is, again, at the time he was still with the Patriots, and I was thinking more personally from my selfish point of view. Come down here, win a Super Bowl in Tampa, walk away as a 7-time champion or 6-time champion, whatever it was. I said this might have been before the 6th Super Bowl. Come down here, win a Super Bowl, walk away at 43. I was wrong. He's clearly playing next year. He's obviously, I was right about him coming down to Tampa and playing in the Super Bowl, just not about what team and the the finality of the game is he's going to be here playing. But look, I've been saying it all season. I just don't get the impression that he has any intention of not playing, unless again his play completely drops off, which at this point I'm not banking on it. If I'm a anti Tom Brady guy, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, guess what, age is going to catch up to him eventually, because guess what, I would have been saying it for 6-7 years. I'm done saying it. If it happens, it happens. There's a good chance that it doesn't, and he just walks away like without ever having seen the ill effects that age has taken on previous superstar quarterbacks. So I'll ask both of you, what's your gut saying? How long is he going to play? Because, we sit here and joke and say, well, maybe he'll play till he's 50. Well, is that really that outrageous to think of at this point? If from 6 years from now, if we're sitting here, that'd be impressive if we're all sitting here together on a Tuesday 6 years from now talking about this. Maybe in a much bigger studio. That'd be nice. And we're like, you know what? Tom's about to play at 50. Am I going to be surprised? No. I'm done being surprised with what he does. And at this point, how long can he play? How long can he play?
I think that is so the most important thing is how much that fire burns. And I think Mike alluded to that earlier, that he's always all in. Well, you can make the case that maybe in his last 2 years with New England, he wasn't all in because of the contract situation, whatever the case may be. I don't think he was as committed as he was this year in Tampa.
They won a Super Bowl in 2018. So
yes, I know.
I'm not going to criticize him for
but,
not being all in. But yeah, go ahead.
But I think there was some problems there. And to deny that to me is just doesn't make any sense. There were obviously some issues there. But nonetheless, that's what fuels him, right? I mean, he's not a guy that just can take the off season off, show up to training camp, get in shape, work on his arm. I mean, he doesn't. That's not how he rolls. So there may be a day in 2 years when he just wakes up. It would be in the off season, and he says, "You know what? I don't want to do this anymore." And he still may be physically able to do it, but is he going to still have that total commitment, that fire that burns inside? That's what I think happens with a lot of the great athletes when they just say, I can't do much more than this. I mean, I may be making a joke here. I could see him playing another 3-4 years, and maybe he just goes on a tour and resurrects all these really bad franchises. Maybe he goes up to the Detroit Lions in a couple of years and wins them a Super Bowl, and then settles in Cleveland and wins them a Super Bowl, and then he can be the Mother Teresa of all quarterbacks. Like, he'll heal all the sick. I think that could happen.
I want that now. That's what I want. I want that world tour, that, team to team, just bring him a Super Bowl, because I like that a lot, actually. But yeah, you're right. If he plays 3 or 4 more years, I'm not going to be surprised. And then you have to take a step back and think about it. Well, say he plays 4 more years. That's 44, 45, 46, and 47. I mean, the guy is trying to be the Gordie Howe of the NFL, except when Gordie Howe was getting to his 50s, he was not the same Gordie Howe that he was in his 20s. Tom Brady's the same guy. The same guy. I mean, he's had to evolve and change his game over time, and I think what it doesn't get talked about enough, we talk about this all the time when it comes to the evolution of this game, and especially on offense, where things are really changing. I mean, we say it all the time, there'll be a flash in the pan quarterback that comes around and be like, the game's changing. Well, not really. I think the game is really changing now because, well, you can't help it when you have the rules favor the offense so much, and just how, open. Again, they're going to adapt what they take from college. This Big 12, basically is what the NFL is turning into, it seems like in some cases. But it's like you're going to have this offensive style of football translate from college immediately into the NFL. The NFL is more open. You can make more plays, yada, yada, yada. The game is changing. Somehow, some way, this dinosaur of a quarterback, the last of a dying breed, I like to steal that from Howard Stern, last of a dying breed, Tom Brady, the pocket, immobile but mobile quarterback. How he still managed to stay within the top echelon of quarterbacks at his age, at his quote unquote, I don't want to say one hand tied behind his back, but the more this game evolves, the more of an impact his ability not to run has. But he's still managed to overcome that. And to me, I don't think that's something that gets talked about enough about his game and about his determination. It's just a pure ability and, yes, folks, talent.
The two greatest athletes, or at least team athletes of this century, are clearly LeBron James and Tom Brady, right?
Oh,
and
I mean, they're so far above in their own
they're lapping
stratosphere.
people, yeah. Right? They're lapping people. I mean, LeBron is still an MVP candidate in this is 18th year. Brady was an MVP candidate in his 20th year.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're both adaptable. And you look at LeBron now, he's a 40% 3-point shooter. He's gotten better as a 3-point shooter because he saw that that's where the game is going. There's times on offense where maybe he takes it a little bit easy because he has to play elite defense. And the reason the Lakers are the best team in basketball is because they are the best defensive team. Adaptability and just understanding the game. I went on this soliloquy 2 weeks ago about what makes Brady different than every other quarterback is he just reads the damn game differently than everybody else. It's like he's laser zoned into one play. Like he just looks at the next play. Okay, we're in this situation. I can't turn it over here, or I just need to get a first down. I got to make sure my guys stay in bounds on the clock. Right, like all of these things that he works on, like little things that don't appear to be that difficult. He's kind of mastered them, and that's why he's remained so great. So I think he's adapted to the way the league is now, as did LeBron adapt to the way the league is, and that's what makes them special. And again, what makes them special is how hard they work mentally, physically, and how committed they are. You don't think of them in the same sentence because LeBron's a freakish athlete. Well, Brady in his own right is a freakish athlete. To be 43 and still playing with guys that could be his son, is pretty amazing. And again, I bring up the guy was drafted by Major League Baseball. He's not the guy that just showed up one day in the game of football and he learned how to play. He's an athlete in a different sense. The way kind of Larry Bird was a really good athlete. He wasn't winning the dunk contest, but he could do what he had to do.
People cannot get over his combine photo. That's what it is. That's all it is. People are so transfixed on the combine photo, they can't imagine that anyone has the ability to grow over the course of 20 years. You know what I mean? Like they look at him and they say, "Oh, it's the same exact guy." Well, no, it's not. I mean, we've seen him evolve, and he said it before. Like he was kind of a late bloomer. He didn't start playing football until high school. So if you think about that, he spent 20 some odd years as an NFL superstar, but had only played the equivalent of 4 or 5 years of football prior to that. So this idea that he's not an athlete, he's not this. I'm just like, then I don't know what an athlete is. Because and the things that you brought up are some of the problems I have when it comes to using number, because football's such a complicated game. There's so much nuance. There's so many situations. EPA is kind of the new in thing now. Obviously, expected points are generally going to be it's going to favor higher scoring, obviously. And that's what we're in now. So, everyone who lives and dies by EPA will say, "Oh, well, this, that, and the other." Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, these stats are great, and you can use a collection of statistics to reach a conclusion, a reasonable conclusion. And I think that's how you should use statistics, not as a finite, not as a, just because this number is higher than this one, so therefore this person is better. Like, I don't think that is true in most cases. I think, again, there's so many situations, there's so many nuances to the game of football, and that includes things you can't measure. It's impossible to measure. Like, you can't, I know some numbers they'll take into account. They'll take into account down and distance and situation, and I get that. There's value to that. You got to be able to distinguish that, but you still can't you can't represent every situation and every exact scenario with a number, and it's impossible in football. And there's things that it's impossible to measure, like that ability to I'm with you. I don't think anyone in the game sees the game like Tom Brady, and that's not an insult to guys like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and these veteran quarterbacks that have a great resume. I mean, the guy is just like LeBron has lapped the field. And we've become so numb to the success and to the things that he does every single time. Like, I think Patriots fans saw a lot of those issues, and this isn't a knock on Cam. This is more or less like just, the reality that not every quarterback does I've never seen someone do every single little thing right as consistently as Tom Brady. I mean, everything. There's never been an instance where I think he was like, I'm going to go make this. No, he's going to make the smart play. It's kind of like that Bill Belichick teaching lesson. Don't extend for the football. Don't extend for the end zone. The benefit does not outweigh the loss there. We're talking about the turnover, being a touchback, all that stuff. That's an example of if Tom was around, he would never reach for the end zone. And people are like, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, no, it is. Because we see it all the time. We see these guys that get a little bit too much, a little too excited. Like, oh, I got to make a play. Well, the smart play is just tuck the ball and go down on the 1 yard line and put the ball in. Not stretch out and try to, get a big bang for your buck type thing. And I know, obviously, we're kind of comparing apples to oranges when it comes to positions. But I think that's kind of a good example of just always making the smart little play that doesn't get accounted for. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I think we're somewhat in agreement with that. Like I said, maybe we have some different definitions as we've had discussions about talent and certain abilities. But I think we're in for a hell of a game this week. And if you're going to ask me to bet against Tom Brady, well, would you?
I think Tampa Bay is got a real chance to win this game, and I think it's going to be as much on the defensive side because
of course.
I look at the two offensive tackles that are going to be out for Kansas City. Jeff Schwartz has been out most of the year. Eric Fisher is going to be out. The last 2 years, the Chiefs are 3-3 in the 6 games that Eric Fisher missed, and we know Tampa Bay can bring it. Right? You got JPP, you got Shaq Barrett. Yeah, I mean, again, you look at the Packers this year. Do you realize in 18 games, Aaron Rodgers was sacked a total of 25 times.
Nearly half.
10 of them were in 2 games against Tampa and 15 in the other games against the rest of the league. So they can bring it. They kind of have that front four that reminds you a little bit of the Giants in 2007, 2011, when they could put pressure on without sending extra. So, that's going to be such a key matchup. I originally just felt Kansas City was too good, and giving Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare, he's nearly unbeatable. But those 2 injuries for the tackles really could be a problem for Kansas City. So I'm holding off on my pick till Sunday.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. I think that's going to be a big storyline going into this game. And, you talk about the JPP is on this line, and you add some of those other guys that are in, the return of Vita Vea last week was huge. Look, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I haven't already made up my mind who I'm going to pick. I'm obviously going to pick the Bucs, and I'm going to pick Tom Brady because, well, I just don't bet against Mr. Super Bowl, as I like to call him, John. And if you want to use that hashtag, I'd appreciate it because I want to get this going. Because
okay.
What's a better nickname for the guy? Not Tom Terrific, not, the sheriff or whatever these ridiculous PFR nicknames. I mean, I've never seen so many nicknames be put together I've never heard of half the nicknames that listed under his Pro Football Reference profile, but the best one is Mr. Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's appropriate, right? I mean, you've been to 10 of them. That's
10 of them, yeah.
Lapping a field. Yeah, pretty damn
so.
impressive. But when we get to the NBA Finals, just hashtag Mr. NBA Finals for LeBron because I think he's going to go to his 10th NBA Finals in 11 years, which is pretty staggering.
Well, it'll be impressive. We'll revisit that hashtag when we get there. Maybe we'll have a different one. Leheckle, just like last night. But no, we're going to have to say goodbye, though. We are running out of time, unfortunately. John, it was a pleasure. Mike, you probably said the most you've said on a Tuesday in quite some time.
Yeah, I actually got in a few words this time around. It was pretty good.
None of them were Cobra Kai related. I'm impressed. That's 2 days in a row. I don't think you've mentioned it. So,
yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We will be back again tomorrow. Give us a follow on Twitter at FPC Radio Live, at Full Press Radio. I am at IGLEN31. You can find John at JohnSap25. And, of course, Mike is at MDABATE FPC. Folks, enjoy the week. Super Bowl is just 4 days away. 5, I don't know, something. It's in a few days. Enjoy it. Talk to you tomorrow.